is on, yes. Okay. Yo, Mac back there, is everybody in? Everybody's in? Okay. Well, hello everybody, and I would like to...
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, Jane.
And thank you for joining us in this most sacred place called Peru. Just because there are a few people that might not know us, we are As-and-Ash Dean. The ANA Dean is good enough. We are speakers of the Emerald Order Melchizedek Cloister, or Melchizedek Cloister Emerald Order, whichever you prefer. I know there are some relatively new people with us on this trip, and you must have some kind of very interesting high calling if you fit into that category, because many of the people that have decided to join us have done so because they've been studying the information for quite a while, and they know the depth and sophistication of the material and some of the significance of this trip. This trip is not just about personal growth in a lovely sacred space. It is about a planetary guardianship grid commission that is of the highest Christic order. And to be here for any of us, that includes us as well, it is a very sacred entrustment from a huge group of what are known as the eternal life Christic races that have always taught the true ascension mechanics on this planet and in many other systems. We are working directly with them in order to open specific gates this time as we come through this sacred country called Peru. These gates have everything to do with the future evolution potentials of this planet and the people on it. So I'm going to try to find, as we move through this amazing trip, the places you will see, even if we weren't here to talk with you, are still amazing. But to know more about them, we will be sharing with you information from the beloveds about their significance, not just in terms of contemporary history and understanding them now, but understanding what these places were and what they are in relation to now and to the future, in relation to what is taking place in the big drama that this planet is a part of. If you could... I'm trying to find an average space to talk to everyone and in the same kind of like frequency, because there are some people who I will lose very quickly if I go into talking about things we were covering in the 12 Tribes classes, because there are some 12 Tribes people here, and when I talk about the Ancient Statia Passage and I talk about the Lone Star Fall Host and all of those things in the Aquafareion Sun Activation, you'll know what I mean. And if you're not familiar with the 12 Tribes classes or, say, the Easter Workshop in Phoenix, then I will lose you very quickly. And I don't want to lose anybody, because you all belong here or you wouldn't have felt the need to come. And that's what's interesting about this. With the 12 Tribes classes, and also with this particular trip, there was a particular signature in frequency, an invisible signature in frequency that was sent out by the beloveds who have called us together here. It is a frequency that responds to something in the DNA if you carry it. In short terms, it is called the Aquafareion code. It is a specific genetic line and soul group line of angelic humans and cloister race indigos that not all angelic humans carry these particular codes, and not all indigo cloisters carry these particular codes. The Aquafareion codes have everything to do with a particular ascension path that was set many, many eons ago. In fact, between 480 and 450 billion years in Earth terms ago, there was a mission set that had to do with this, not just this planet, but with this universal Akaveka system. And there was an ascension passage that was set a long time ago. In the event that things went bad here over a very long evolutionary period, there was, let's say, an escape valve that was put in. And that escape valve, in short terms, can be looked at as a thing called the Ancient Statia Passage. Now, the Ancient Statia Passage is like a lifeline to this planet in the position this planet is in right now. If you are new and you don't know what that position is, there's a lot to catch up on, because we've been teaching ever since 2000, when we entered what's called a stellar activation cycle, and the stargates on this planet began to open. It also opened a drama that had been left in a stalemate the last time the stargates opened. And we are now in stages of what's called the final conflict drama on this planet. We are beginning to see it in the politics around us when we watch the news. But it is much, much larger than that. The earthly politics are small compared to the politics that are going on in the interdimensional spectrum that are actually moving the politics that we see coming out in the human lines on this planet. There are many, many different soul groups on this planet wearing the mask of human form. Not all of them are human. Most of them are hybrid, and humans are hybrid in the first place. We all came from somewhere else. We've been living under an illusion of the mask of the Homo sapien sapien, and under an illusion of history, a history that was very recently contrived and twisted. As early ago as 9558 BC, there was a new concept early ago. 9558 BC, when the final sinking of the Atlantean islands, the remnant islands, occurred. Even then, there were massive amounts of history known on this planet. There were many, many things known that were lost from that period. They were not lost because of an accident. They were lost through a contrived takeover plan that has been unfolding itself since that period. Now, it may be shocking to some of you, and I will just be very blunt. I like to try to ease people that are new to the work into things, because I don't want to scare you and like, oh my God, what are they, nuts? No, we're not nuts. We've been teaching the history since 2000. We've had access to the history. This is not the first time we've taught this. Az and I and Mac have been speakers before in other lifetimes, in other simultaneous incarnations in different space-time frames. So we do know what we're teaching. But we are in the middle of a massive drama on this planet. It is a universal system, a 15-dimensional drama, not just something that has to do with our little planet called Earth. And what we are doing in Peru is the one thing left that can be done that will allow for ascension potential at all to remain for the life field of this planet. This planet has lost its personal ascension potential. Earth cannot ascend anymore. There are two ways to evolve back to the source from which we all came. One is through natural ascension. After you individuate and go out into manifest form and experience cycles of space-time in manifestation, you can then move through what is called an Adashi return cycle, and you go back into source by reaccreting yourself or becoming whole again, at which point you go back to the first creation point from which you emerged. Then you have the option to come back out again into manifestation if you want. That is one way to go home. The other way to go home to source is through what is called space dust return. Space dust return, in scientific terms, means black hole fall of a body, planetary body, a star body, or a solar system, or an entire galaxy or universe. Now, Earth has entered its space dust return path. There is no turning back for this planet at this point. Now, we don't have to worry about it going tomorrow. All right, Earth will be here for quite a long time, not as long as we'd hoped, but for quite a long time. We are a race that is in the middle of watching a planet go from where it still had its potential to regenerate ascension ability to where that potential has been completely disengaged. Earth will not ever be an ascension planet again. In fact, Earth would be entering what is called its Bardo cycle now, as of March 25th, 2007, if it weren't for the interventions that have been being done by a very large group of Christic races from this matrix and others, that you can just, there's various names that have the Aquari name on the front of them. It is the age of Aquarius, as they say, because this is where the Aquareion soul groups out of a parallel adjacent Akasha matrix, who set the host here in the first place 450 billion years ago to try to protect this place from a fall that occurred nearby, they are intervening directly because we would be going into planetary Bardo now. If we entered planetary Bardo, which is the death cycle, there is a particular cycle of what a Bardo is, be it for a person or a planet or a sun or a solar system. But once a Bardo occurs, there is something called a prana seed that is in the center or the core of a planetary body or a star body, the center of the light body. When Bardo occurs, the prana seed compacts into itself and can no longer cycle. And that begins a separation between what is known as the outer manifestation of the body and its inner, what is called the dark matter partiki template. All right? Now, our Earth would be going into Bardo as of the 25th of March, because on the 25th of March, our sun, our core of our sun, where the core gates are, where the prana seed is, was struck on purpose by a certain matrix called the Borgia matrix with psychotronic pulses that forced compaction of the solar core gates, or the solar prana seed, which means our sun has entered its Bardo cycle. Normally, if there is no intervention and a center sun in a solar system enters Bardo, the core prana seed within each of the planets that revolve or orbit around that sun will follow suit very rapidly. Their core prana seeds will also compact and close, and the whole system will go into Bardo together. That would be happening on this planet now if it weren't for the intervention that's being given by the Christic races of the Aquareion matrix. And if that occurred, what it would mean from that point forward, there would be no ascension of the life field out of this system. It would mean the life field on this planet would be completely locked into the path of space dust return. We wouldn't go tomorrow, but we would not be able to ascend ever again out. To get home to source, we would have to go home in pieces. So, the fact that there is an intervention, a huge intervention being done that involves 3 Akasha systems combining force in order to assist or host this system, to allow a chamber to remain open to the still living systems, to realize that we are in the process of assisting these Christic races, being their ground team, as it were, to allow for something called the Ansenstation passage to be opened and anchored here into this planet. It will stop, at least temporarily, it will stop the compaction of the Earth's prana seed. It is like putting Earth on a respirator when it can no longer breathe on its own. The Ansenstation passage will allow for the opening of the sustained opening of an ascension passage that goes from Earth. Now, if you're familiar with what we have taught, you will know when I say Eartha what that refers to. If not, you're going to learn a lot on this trip. Earth, as we know it, is a hosted planet to begin with. Earth and the solar system emerged out of the fall of Tara in density 2. Now, if we want to know where Tara is, look to the Pleiades. Alcyone is what is the remnant of what was a star called Tara. Our solar system, when Tara exploded, our solar system was actually harnessed by the Christic races of 3 different matrices, put back together into an attempted regenesis plan, and downstepped into density 1, which is dimensions 1, 2, and 3, where we're located. In order to do that, Earth, certain portions of what was Tara, this entire solar system, each planet was part of the body of Tara originally. Now it's pieces, and it exists as a solar system with one sun that we evolve around, which was also a part of Tara. So a small solar system was made from the fragments of Tara. This was called the Amenti Rescue Mission, and that was what the Voyager's Secrets of Amenti book started to bring back into our awareness. Even in the Atlantean period on this planet, in 9558 BC, this was already known. This was common knowledge history. Earth was a hosted planet. It is a piece of Tara that was hosted into a larger natural star body that is called Eartha. Eartha is called Universal Stargate 3. When Earth was hosted into Eartha, Earth itself became connected then to Universal Stargate 3. When we think of hosting of a planet into a star in such a way, the planetary grids, or shield, or everything from its dark matter template to its matter template, are like a small sphere placed within a larger sphere of a healthy body. So the idea with the Amenti Rescue Mission was an attempt to re-evolve the pieces of this solar system back into their wholeness so they could re-evolve back into density 2 and into the Tara system. The Amenti Rescue Mission has failed at this point. The halls of Amenti were corrupted in 2003 completely. The new ones, which were set by the Christic races, are no longer functional for what they were intended to do. We have gone so far beyond what any of us really were prepared for in this time frame as far as the escalation of the drama that has occurred since the year 2000. In the year 2000, we entered a stellar activation cycle, a Stargate opening cycle again. It was known since the Atlantean periods by certain people on the planet that this would be the time indeed when the final conflict drama would happen, because it was a final conflict drama that had started a long time ago, had reached a certain crescendo during the Atlantean period, and then when the gates were forced closed, it was a stalemate. But the next time the gates were due to open on their natural cycles, if they actually did, that's when the chaos would hit. And that's when you would have visitors from elsewhere, from everywhere elsewhere, from this universe, from other universes, coming in to finish what they started a long, long time ago. Some of them are what we refer to as the Christic races. The Christic races does not necessarily mean you're Christian. All right, the Christian word was taken from the original Mahabharata texts that every religion on the planet right now, from Buddhism to Christian to all of the other religions, they took parts of the Mahabharata texts and built stories within and around them, and at certain points became corrupted, where they have partial truth and then partial corruption, because the religions were the re-legions, the original legion of the eternal life Christ, were the original teachings. The re-legions were taking those teachings, breaking them up into little pieces, and using them as control dogmas in order to control groups of angelic humans and cloister race humans on this planet. Why the humans were a target on this planet is because they were the guardian race of this planet, which means in their DNA they held the ability to activate DNA that would run frequency from the universal spectrum that could open and close stargates. And that's why we've been a target. So we are in the final conflict drama now, but it's not just a small one that started in Atlantis, our most recent Atlantis. This history goes back to 480 to 450 billion years ago in a matrix called the Borgia matrix. And it is because of what occurred there that we have discussed it. We introduced that information in the FOL January 2007 workshop. So if anybody wants to catch up on bits and you haven't seen that, it started there. We are progressively introducing more of it as we get more in each of the smaller 12-tribe classes. But what we're in the middle of at this point, in this trip to Peru, we have come here for a specific reason. It is a reason called activating the gyrodome. And we've heard about the gyrodome for at least 6 months, I think it was almost a year, actually going, what is the gyrodome? The gyrodome is part of the Aquarian host field. The information that it's going to be interesting to see where I go with you, because some of you already know this from the 12 tribes, some of you have a little bit of it from the last 2 workshops in Phoenix, and some of you have none of it whatsoever. This has to do with what is called advanced RashaLAe adept training. All right, the RashaLAe is a word pertaining to specific parts of your light body anatomy and the planet's light body anatomy. There are very sophisticated RashaLAe body activations taking place within the indigo shield on this planet and within the part of the indigo shield that is called the Aquafareion shield on this planet. If we think of the indigo tribal shield as a large shield, and each little dot on that shield is a person that walks around with a gene code in a body that is connected to that tribal race shield. And in the center of the indigo shield, there is a small, very powerful shield that has very specialized coding that is called the Aquafareion shield. The Aquafareion shield is the conduit through which those that carry the Aquari codes, or the Aquari humans, are connected to. And you can be indigo or angelic human to be connected to the Aquafareion shield. The Aquafareion shield was set a very long time ago in the event that this system was going to go into full bardo and fall, and there was still a life field left here that had the potential for Christic eternal life evolution, where they could still get out. The Aquafareion shield has the ability to host by activating itself as a collective on planet to host the RashaLAe body activation levels of Earth.